Hello. Hi, chat. How are you guys doing? It's so hot today. Holy shit. What's up, Didi? Nice of you to join. What's up, Nikki? How's it going? How's it going with you guys? Ah, so I was selling some shit on eBay the other day, right? I sold a modem, like an old cable modem that I have. Yeah, and someone bid it for $16. Okay. But then they messaged me saying, "Oh, they live nearby. So why don't I just come by and just give it to them instead of shipping the thing, right?" So I was like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds cool. I don't have to pay for shipping." So we met at the in front of a Target, and it was this dude. I just came over. It was this dude. He was standing in front of the Target. He said, he looked at my stuff. Right? I gave him the cable modem, and he looked at it and he's like, "Oh, yeah, this works for me." He plugs it in and just to test it. It works for me. And then he's like, "Oh, I don't have change though. I only have $15 because I have a $10 bill and a $5 bill, right? I don't have change." He was like, "Oh, I can go inside and get change if you want." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just give me $15, right?" Yeah. So I just gave it to him for $15. Did he trick me out of $1? Did I get tricked? Did I get scammed? I might have. What's up, Chihuahua? Have rabies? How's it going? Hello, Patrick. What's up? Lillian Ender. What's up, Lillian? Lily Ann? Lily Ann? Hey, no licks lost. Oh, all right. I have some food before we get started. Check it out. It's like chocolate covered Pringles. I'm really excited about this. Hold up. Total scam. So he totally scammed me for $1. Shit. I got tricked. Ugh. Ooh, what is this? Check it out. All right. Okay. Oh, this looks good. Ooh. All right, chocolate covered Pringles. Let's see how you taste. Oh my god. It's so hot that the chocolate is stuck to the other chocolates. All right, I just eat two at a time. Check it out. Hmm. Not bad. Hmm. It's basically just chocolate covered Pringles. It's like it still has a salt on it. You know how Pringles have some salt on it? Yeah, so it's Pringles with the salt and everything, and they just covered it with chocolate. Not bad. So you get the salty and the sweet along with it. Can you have some? If you come over and knock on my door, I'll give you some. I don't know if I can ship it to you. Yeah, it's salty and sweet. I don't know if it works. It's okay. I think there's a little too much salt. Maybe a little bit less salt would help. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. How about that? Yeah. Like, it's not bad, but it's not excellent either. Maybe the dollar was for shipping and handling. Hey, I specifically went over to there because I didn't want to pay for shipping and handling. What the hell? He scammed me out of $1. I was too polite. I could have just let him go inside Target and then just exchange, get change for $1. But I was like, that's fine. All right, you guys. Let's get started. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chapters left. Oh, 7 whole chapters. Is a boba milk tea ever too big? No, never. Is a boba ever too big? No, never. Did you guys see the YouTube video where they made a gigantic boba? It's like this big. That's huge. Now, that's a little too big, I think. That's a little too big. Like, if you can't fit it in your mouth, if you can't fit those balls in your mouth, then it's probably too big. Yeah. I like those regular size bobas. I hate those smaller bobas. They don't just feel right. They don't feel good chewing them, you know? You know what I mean? Like you have to be like at the right consistency and the right size to be like super chewy. And yeah, but the smaller ones are way too small. I don't know. What are we gonna read next? I have a story lined up, so it's a pretty good story that we'll read next. But yeah, I got you covered, Nikki. It's gonna be another long story like this one. So, so what? Another 2 years of reading, 1.5 years, something like that. But yeah, a boba tea filled boba bowl. What's up? No licks lost. Hello. All right. So, what happened last week, huh? All right, last week, remember Ling Huchong and Ying Ying, they're following Yue Lingshan and Lin Pingzhi, the couple, right? They're following them because they wanted to protect them, make sure they don't get into trouble, right? Because Lin Pingzhi is blind at the moment, and Yue Lingshan is she can fight, but she's probably not that good. So they're following the couple, and the couple are attacked by the Qingcheng school, right, to get their revenge. But someone saves them. Okay, someone kills a couple of the Qingcheng school people, and then they ran away. And that person turns out to be Lao De Noir, who was the second disciple of the Huashan school, right? Remember, he was a second ranked disciple, and he actually ran away before. Well, they thought he died. Everyone thought he died before, but he actually disguised another corpse. Right, he just cut up the face so it's unrecognizable. He disguises the corpse and as himself, right? So people thought that was him, and then he runs away. Turns out this guy had killed Monkey 6, right? And he revealed that he was a spy for the Songshan school, right? He was a spy for a long time. So the entire time that he was at Huashan, he was a spy. And actually, the master knew this. And kept it, but he just kept the guy in the school because he thought that one day he could feed false information to this guy back to Songshan, right? And he actually did. So the master gave a fake version of the evil resisting sword art to the Songshan school through Lao De Noir, right? This spy. And that is why when Zhuo Langchan tried to use that new martial arts that he thought he learned to fight against the master, he got confused and he lost, right? So that's a pretty big reveal. And then now Lao De Noir offers to help Lin Pingzhi defeat the master, and Lin Pingzhi really wants to do this. Lin Pingzhi blames the master for a lot of what happened in his life, right? All the ills that happened in his life, the master was part of it. So Lin Pingzhi accepts, and then to prove his loyalty, Pingzhi kills his wife, or he stabs Yue Lingshan in the chest, and then him and Lao Dunois run away. So Yue Lingshan lays dying, Ling Hucheng rushes over, and while she's lying there dying in his arms, she tells him to protect her husband, right? She tells him to promise to protect her husband, the husband that killed her, yeah. And Ling Hu reluctantly agrees because like she's there dying. He wants her to die. He doesn't want her to die with this in her heart, so he reluctantly agrees, and then she dies. Afterwards, they bury her. Ling Hucheng and Ying Ying go live in a valley somewhere where he learns the zither for a while. Then one day, some elders from the demon sect arrive at the valley, and Ling Hucheng sees this, and he's like secretly listening to what they're saying, and he discovers that they have captured the master wife. And that's where we left off. How about that? What is this story about? This is a fictional story. Long, yeah. There's a big old playlist, all right? So if you're listening from today, you won't get what's going on. We're near the end of the story. Yeah. It's a Wuxia story. Will this be posted? This will be posted, but it will be unlisted, right? So the only way you can get this, so after the stream is done, I unlist it, and but it goes into a playlist. So the playlist that you see down in the description, yeah, that's where it is. That's where you can see it. But otherwise, you can't see it. Or I think you can go to the homepage, and then you can see the playlist at the very bottom. But yeah. Bloop, 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 bloop. What's up, Losh? Glad you could join. Okay. Are we good? We did the recap. Let's get started. You keep trying to clean the brown bit on my screen. What brown stuff? Do I have brown stuff on my screen? What do you mean? Are you just messing with me? There's no brown stuff. Okay. Is the previous readings in the playlist? Yeah, the playlist goes from what? Chapter 1 to today's chapter 64. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. Chapter 36. Grief, Part 2. Oh, wait, hold on. My sound effects are not working. Wait, do you guys hear a sound? Is my sound effects working? How come I can't hear it? Oh, maybe I should turn on my sound. Okay, got it. Oh, there's a tag on my blinds. Oh yeah, that's true. Stop looking at my room, you guys. That's a little bit creepy, okay? Alright, let's get started. This elder's voice sounded, so remember now Ling Hucheng is in the bushes listening to a couple of elders from the demon sect. They're talking, okay? Remember, they were talking about someone capturing Yue Buchun's wife, the master wife. Sorry, I pressed the sword fighting button like a couple of times because I couldn't hear it. So it probably played multiple times. This elder's voice sounded quite familiar to Ling Huchang's ears. He thought, could it be that I've seen him on the dark wood cliff before? He then exerted his qi to listen to their conversation, but he didn't dare stick his head out to have a look. All of the elders from the devil's sect had high martial art, so if he moved even slightly, then he might immediately be discovered. Elder Ge said, Brother Mao and Mo, Brother Du and I were just discussing how we were going to entice Yue Buchun to come here so that we can capture him and take him to the Darkwood Cliff. The other elder said, What plan did you come up with? Elder Ge answered, We haven't thought of a good plan yet. Brother Bao and Mo must be able to come up with a good plan. The first elder said, Excuse me. The first elder said, When the Five Mountains Sword School were fighting at the place of worship over the leadership, Yue Buchun blinded both of Zuo Longchan's eyes, and his power shook the entire Mount Songshan. After that, no one else from the Five Mountains Sword Schools dared to challenge him. I heard this person has obtained the real evil-resisting sword art from the Lin family, and he's now completely different from before. We must think of all possibilities, and we mustn't look down on him. Elder Du said, That's right. Even if the four of us cooperate, it's still not certain if we're able to win against him. Elder Mo said, Brother Bao, you've already decided on a plan. Please share it with us. Elder Bao, oh, there's too many elders. I'm getting confused. That Elder Bao said, Even though I've thought of a plan, it's nothing wonderful. I'm afraid the three of you will laugh at it. Elder Mo, Ge, and Du said together, Brother Bao is our sect's brain trust. The plan you thought of must be really good. Elder Bao said, Actually, it's only a simple plan. We'll dig a deep pit and cover it with grass and branches on top. Then we'll seal this lady's acupoints, put her at the edge of the pit, and lead Yue Buchun to it. When he sees his wife on the ground, he'll definitely go over to help her. Then, boom, we'll fall. Ayo, not good. He was hitting his hands together at the same time he was speaking. The other elders and the remaining four people laughed out loud. Elder Mo laughingly said, Brother Bao's plan is wonderful. We'll all naturally hide ourselves on the side to wait for Yue Buchun to drop into the pit. Once he drops in, we'll cover the top of the pit with blades and won't let him leap out. Otherwise, with such strong martial arts, I'm afraid he might not drop in, but instead jump out of the hole. What's up, William? Yes, this is the book that inspired the movies Swordsman and Swordsman 2. Yeah. Swordsman was the... Wait. I think there was a Jet Li movie. Was that Swordsman? Yeah. Or was that something else? There was a Jet Li movie, I think based on this book. Yeah. I remember it was pretty bad. Elder Bao hesitated and said, But there's still some difficulty with this. Elder Mo said, What difficulty? Ah, that's right. Brother Bao is afraid of Yue Buchun's strange sword art. Once he falls into the hole, will we be able to stop him? Elder Bao said, Brother Mo's guess is right. This time, Chief sent us to handle this thing, and our enemy is the best master from the Five Mountains Sword School's alliance. Even if we die for Chief, we'll still be highly honored, and we wouldn't be harming the reputation of both the divine sect and the Chief. As the saying goes, those who thought of trivial things are not gentlemen. Those who are not violent are not men. Since we're dealing with a gentleman, we must use treacherous method. I think we must add something inside the trap. Elder Du said, What Brother Bao said fits well with us. We're carrying a lot of 100 flowers soul-consuming powder. We can spread them around the tree branches and grass covering the hole. Then when Yuebu Chun falls into it, he'll suck in a breath of this powder. He said till here when they all burst into laughter. Elder Bao said, We can't be late. We must begin now. Where's the best place to lay this trap? Elder Gu replied, 3 li west from here. There's a towering cliff on one side with a deep abyss on the other. There's also a small road you can walk through there. If Yuebu Chun doesn't come out, then we'll just forget it. And on the other hand, if he comes, then he'll definitely have to go through this small road. Oh, was that movie Jet Li? Yeah, see, I knew I remembered it. There was a Jet Li movie about it. Elder Bao said, Very good. Let's go there and take a look. After he said this, he started walking while the rest followed behind him. Ling Hu Chang thought, They wouldn't be able to dig this trap in just an hour. I'll go quickly and tell Ying Ying about this and get myself a longsword. Then I'll go and rescue Master Wife. He waited until all the Devil Sect's people had gone before quietly going back. After walking for a few li, he suddenly heard the sound of people digging. He thought, How come they're digging here? Ling Hu Chang quickly hid himself behind a tree. When he poked his head out to take a look, he saw the 4 Devil Sect people digging with their bodies bent over, while a few elders were standing by the side. He was quite near to them this time and was able to see the profile of one of the elders. He secretly shivered in fear. This person is actually the one called Bao Da Chu, who I saw in Hangzhou's Mount Gu at the Plum Manor. So Elder Bao is actually Bao Da Chu. Back then, when Runwo Sing escaped from the West Lake, the first Devil Sex's elder he took back was this Bao Da Chu. Ling Hu Chang had seen him deal with Mr. Huang Zhong before, so he knew Bao Da Chu's martial art was high. In his heart, he was thinking that Master had just taken up the headmaster position of the 5 Mountains School, so he must have made some trouble for the Devil Sect. The Devil Sect wouldn't just stay quietly and let this happen. So Ren Wo-sing sent some people out to retaliate. So Ling Hu Chang was thinking there would be more than just these 4 elders who had been sent. He saw that the 4 people were using a pair of halberds and hatchets to loosen the ground and dig out the dirt. Ling Hu Chang thought, did they say they wanted to dig the hole by that cliff? But they did say they wanted to dig the hole by that cliff, but how come they're digging here? Then he realized it's rocky beside the cliff, so how can it be easy to dig a hole there? This Elder Gu is a stupid person, speaking blindly without thinking first. With the Devil Sect people digging a hole here, his way back was blocked and he was prevented from getting a sword. He thought it was very inappropriate to dig a hole with weapons and reasoned they were unlikely to finish digging it anytime soon. But he didn't want to go around them to get a sword because he didn't dare to be too far away from his master wife. Wait, Jet Li was the movie director for that too? What the heck? Yeah. Was it a bad movie? I remember it was a pretty bad movie. Suddenly, Elder Gu laughed and said, Yuebu Chun is already old, but his wife is so young and pretty. Elder Du laughingly said, She looks good, but she's not that young. She looks to be in her early 40s. If Brother Gu is interested, wait until we capture Yuebu Chun and report back to the chief. Then you can ask for this lady. What do you think? Elder Gu laughed. I wouldn't dare to ask for her, but there's no harm in playing with her. Ling Hu Chang was furious. Shameless bastard. You got some nerve to insult my master wife. Wait until I give every single one of you a horrible death. Ling Hu Chang couldn't endure Elder Gu's licentious laughing, so he stuck his head out to take a look. He saw that Elder Gu was giving Madame Yue's cheek a pinch. Oh no. He's not gonna have a good end. Madame Yuez's acupoint was sealed, so she couldn't fight back, nor even utter a sound. The devil sect people all laughed merrily over this. Elder Du laughingly said, "Brother Ge is so wary. You don't dare to play with this lady here? Wait, you don't dare to play with this lady here?" Ling Huchang was livid. If this Elder Ge really became rude toward his master wife, then he would come out and stake his life with these devil sect people, despite having no sword in his hand. But he heard Elder Ge laughing lewdly and said, It's not that I don't dare to play with her, but I'm afraid I might spoil the chief's mission, and then, even if I have 100 heads, they might not be enough to be beheaded." "That's the best," Elder Bao coldly said. "Brother Ge, Brother Du, both of you have good Qinggong. Lead Yue Buchun to come here. I predict in 2 hours everything will be in place." Elder Ge and Du acknowledged together, "Yes," and then they went toward the north. After the two of them were gone, only the sound of digging was heard in that empty valley, with the occasional instructions from Elder Mo. Ling Huchang hid in the underbrush and didn't even dare to take a deep breath. He thought, "I've been gone for so long, Ying Ying must surely be worried, and she'll definitely come out to look for me. When she hears this digging sound, she'll come over to take a look, and then she can help my master wife. Once these devil sex's elders see young lady Run, how would they dare to disobey her? Considering Chief Run, Brother Xiang, and Ying Ying's face, I shouldn't fight with the people from the devil sect. That would be the best way." Thinking till here, he felt that the longer he waited, the better it would be. That pervert, Elder Ge, had been gone for quite some time, so Master Wife didn't have to bear with his insult anymore. At last, the devil sect people finished digging and put the branches on top of the trap. They then scattered the confusion poison on top and further added grass on top of that. Bao Dachu and the other 5 people separately hid themselves around the trap to patiently wait for the Yue Buchun's arrival. Okay, it's just a regular trap. That it's just a hole, right? That they think that Yue Buchun will fall into. So we'll see what happens. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy. He's too smart, right? He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would fall into this trap. But maybe. Ling Huchang quietly picked up a big rock in his hand and thought, "I'll wait until Master comes. As soon as he comes near the trap, I'll throw this rock into it. Once the rock falls into it, Master will see it, and he'll be vigilant." At this time, it was only the beginning of summer. The sound of cicadas sang throughout the dell, and occasionally cries of little birds were heard. Besides those sounds, nothing else was heard. Ling Huchang kept his breathing slow and light while straining to listen to Yue Buchun and the 2 elders' footsteps. After more than an hour, he suddenly heard a female voice crying out from a faraway place. It was Ying Ying's voice. Ling Huchang thought, Ying Ying has discovered there are outsiders here. I wonder who she saw, my master or those 2 elders? Then he heard the footsteps of 2 people coming. One was in front of the other as they rushed forward. He heard Ying Ying continuously calling out, Brother Chang, your master is here to kill you. You mustn't come out." Ling Huchang was startled. Master is here to kill me? Then he heard Ying Ying calling out again, Brother Chang, quickly go! Your master wants to kill you. She was using all of her energy to shout. It was obvious she wanted Ling Huchang to hear her from far away. Ying Ying was calling out, her hair loose, and running quickly with the sword in her hand, while Yue Buchun was behind her with nothing in either of his hands. Ying Ying was now only around 10 steps away from falling into the trap, while Ling Huchang and Bao Dachu were anxious, not knowing what to do. Crap. What the hell? All of a sudden, Ying Ying is running away from Yue Buchun, from the master. Suddenly, Yue Buchun shot out and grabbed Ying Ying's back with his left hand, while his right hand quickly grabbed both of her wrists, and twisted her arms behind her back. In just a short moment, Ying Ying was rendered motionless. Her hand loosened, and the long sword dropped into the ground. Ling Huchong and Bao Dachu were too late to save her because Yue Buchun moved incredibly fast. Ying Ying's martial art was also very high, but she unexpectedly couldn't run away, and in just one move she was captured. Ling Huchong was alarmed, and he nearly called out. Throughout all this, Ying Ying was still calling out, "Brother Chong, quickly, go away! Your master wants to kill you!" Hot tears bubbled up in Ling Huchong's eyes as he thought, "She cares so much about me that she ignored her own safety." Freeing his left hand, Yue Buchun sealed the acupoints on Ying Ying's back. Then his right hand released her and she dropped to the ground. Just then he saw Madame Yue was lying still on the ground. Yue Buchun was surprised, but he was immediately on alert that there must be danger nearby. He didn't approach his wife, but calmly looked around. He saw nothing strange, so lightly said, "Young Lady Ren, that thief Ling Huchong killed my beloved daughter. Were you a part of this too?" Oh no, the master thought Ling Huchong killed his daughter. Ling Huchong was again surprised. He thought, "Master said that I killed little Marshall's sister? Where did he hear this from?" "Your daughter was killed by Lin Pingzhi," Ying Ying answered. "What's that got to do with Ling Huchong? You kept on saying Ling Huchong killed your daughter. What's wrong? That's wrongly blaming the wrong person." That's wrongly blaming the wrong person? Okay. Yue Buchun laughed aloud. "Lin Pingzhi is my son-in-law. Don't you know this? They're newlywed and so loving toward each other. Why would he kill his own wife for?" Oh wait, I forgot. The master has a really high voice now because he cut off his dingling. "Lin Pingzhi is my son-in-law. Don't you know this? They're newlywed and so loving toward each other. Why would he kill his own wife for?" "Lin Pingzhi wanted to rely on the Songshan school, so to make Zhu Langchan believe that he has nothing to do with you, he killed his own wife," Ying Ying explained. Yue Buchun again laughed loudly. "Nonsense. Songshan school? Is there still a Songshan school in this world? Songshan school has merged into the Five Mountains School. Within Wulin, the Songshan school name is no more. Why would Lin Pingzhi go to rely on Songshan? Also, Lin Pingzhi knows Zhu Langchan is my subordinate. Instead of coming to his father-in-law, who is the headmaster of the Five Mountains School, he went to rely on a blind person who can even barely protect himself. Even among the dumbest person in this world, this kind of stupidity simply couldn't exist." "It's up to you whether you want to believe me or not. You can ask Lin Pingzhi yourself when you find him." Yue Buchun's voice turned grim as he said, "The person I'm looking for right now isn't Lin Pingzhi. It's Ling Huchong. Everyone in Jianghu is saying that Ling Huchong was rude to my daughter, and that she fought back against that traitor with all of her power until she was finally killed. You've weaved this lie to hide Ling Huchong, so it's obvious you're working together with him." Ying Ying snorted and laughed derisively. "Young Lady Ren, your father is the chief of the Sun Moon sect. I originally wouldn't have given you any trouble, but to force Ling Huchong to come out, there's no other way. I'm forced to punish you a little bit. First, I'm going to chop off your left hand, then I'm chop off your right hand. Next would be your left foot, followed by your right foot. If that bastard Ling Huchong still has the slightest bit of conscience, then he will show up." "I don't think you dare," Ying Ying shouted. "If you harm one hair on my head, my father will kill everyone in your Five Mountains School and not leave a single person alive." Yue Buchun smiled and said, I don't dare. After he said this, he slowly pulled out the longsword hanging on his waist out of its scabbard. Ling Huchong couldn't take it anymore, so he rushed out of the underbrush and shouted, Master, Ling Huchong is here! Ying Ying gasped in surprise and hastily said, Go away, go away! He doesn't dare to harm me! Ling Huchong shook his head as he walked a few steps closer. Master, little thief, you still have some face to call me master, Yue Buchun said severely. Ling Huchong's eyes were brimming with tears as he knelt on the ground and said in a trembling voice, Emperor of Heaven, Ling Huchong has always treated Miss Yue with respect. I would never dare to be rude to her. Ling Huchong has received your kindness and was brought up by you. If you want to kill me, then kill me. Ying Ying was worried. She called out, Brother Chong, this person is half male, half female. He's lost his humanity long ago. Quickly, go away. Yue Buchun's face suddenly turned murderous. Oh. You shouldn't insult him like that. As he turned toward Ying Ying and grimly said, What do you mean by that? You practice the evil resisting sword art, carelessly disturbed yourself and made yourself half dead, half alive, just like a ghost. Brother Chong, do you remember Dongfang Bubai? All of them are crazy. Don't treat them like ordinary people. Ying Ying was hoping Ling Huchong would flee at once. She knew that after what she just said, Yue Buchun would never let her go, but she didn't care about that. Yeah, he can't let the secret out that he had to castrate himself, right? Yue Buchun coldly said, Where did you hear those cynical remarks you just made? From Lin Pingju's own mouth. You stole Lin Pingju's evil resisting sword manual. You think he doesn't know? When you threw that Buddhist robe down the canyon, Lin Pingju was hiding outside your window. He took that robe. That's why he also learned the evil resisting sword art. If not for this, how would he be able to kill Mu Gaofeng and Yu Tanghai? With regards to how he finished learning the evil resisting sword art, of course, you know how this is done as well. Brother Chong, listen to Yue Buchun's voice. It's just like a girl. He and Dongfang Bubai are the same. They lost their normal sex a long time ago. She heard the conversation between Lin Pingzhi and Yue Lingshan inside the carriage, but Ling Huchong did not. Oh, yeah. Okay, he didn't know this. Oh, no, now he knows that his master has self-castrated. She knew Ling Huchong respected and loved his master. She also didn't want to add to his sadness, and this topic was very inconvenient to speak of. So she had not mentioned it in the last few months. But at this time it was very urgent. So she was forced to reveal this to make Ling Huchong understand, to make him see that the person in front of him wasn't a great headmaster in Wulin, but he was merely a freak who had lost his sex, and that he was also an insane person who could not be spoken to with reason. The murderous look on Yue Buchun's eyes became fiercer. He loathingly said, Young lady Run, I wanted to spare you your life. But after this nonsense you spouted, I can't allow you to live anymore. You courted your own death. Don't you blame me for this. Ying Ying shouted, Brother Chong, quickly, quickly, go! Ling Huchong knew his master's hand was extremely fast, and with just a tremble of his sword, Ying Ying would immediately lose her life. When he saw Yue Buchun had lifted the sword, looking like he was going to thrust out, he shouted, If you want to kill someone, then kill me! Don't harm her! Yue Buchun turned his head around and laughed coldly. You've just learned a little bit of a three-legged sword art, and you think you can run amok in Jianghu? Pick up the sword. I'll kill you to make you believe. I wouldn't dare to fight against you, Ling Huchong stammered out. Wait, Bigfoot, you want me to start over? I have another idea. You can start over. You can start over from the beginning. And listen to the beginning. Even today, what are you putting on air for? Yue Buchun shouted. That day on the boat, on the Yellow River and the Five Tyrant Ridge, you allied yourself with the people from the unorthodox path and deliberately made me lose face. I've already decided to kill you back then, but it's very good for you that I've been putting up with you so far. At Fuzhou, you fell into my hand. If it wasn't for my wife blocking me, I would have sent you to the king of hell back then. I made a mistake back then, and now you've instead taken my daughter's life. Ling Hucheng hastily called out, I didn't. Pick up the sword, Yue Buchun angrily shouted. You only have to win against this sword in my hand, and then you can kill me straight away. Otherwise, I won't spare you. This devil sexist witch likes to speak nonsense. Let me cripple her first. When he finished speaking, he slashed his sword to behead Ying Ying. Ling Hucheng's left hand was still holding the big piece of rock. Originally, he wanted to use it to help Yue Buchun by stopping him from falling down the trap. At this point, with no time to think, he quickly tossed the rock at Yue Buchun's chest. Yue Buchun leaned his body to one side to dodge it. Ling Hucheng rolled on the ground, picked up the long sword Ying Ying had dropped on the ground, and stabbed it at Yue Buchun's left leg. Alright, now he has a sword. Now the fight is on. If Yue Buchun had slashed his sword toward Ling Hucheng initially, Ling Hucheng would have stood still and was prepared to get stabbed. But after hearing Ying Ying reveal this secret, Yue Buchun was so startled and angry that he actually chopped at Ying Ying first. Ling Hucheng couldn't do anything else but help. Yue Buchun blocked 3 attacks and retreated for 2 steps. He was secretly amazed. He just blocked 3 times, but his whole arm was shaken and felt numb. When they fought at the Shaolin Temple, they fought for more than 1,000 moves, but Ling Hucheng didn't use his true internal energy with his sword, but at this time he did not give way in his 3 attacks. Ling Hucheng forced Yue Buchun to step back, while he extended his hand backwards to release Ying Ying's sealed acupoints. Ying Ying called out, "Don't worry about me, watch out!" White light flashed as Yue Buchun's long sword thrust forward. Ling Hucheng had seen Dongfang Wubai, Yue Buchun, and Lin Pingzhi's martial arts, so he knew his opponent's movements were unbelievably quick, like a ghost or a demon. If he waited until he saw a flaw in the oncoming attack, he would have gotten stabbed. So he counterattacked by slashing at Yue Buchun's lower abdomen with his longsword. Yue Buchun quickly leapt back and scolded, "What a fierce, small thief!" Actually, even though Yue Buchun had raised Ling Hucheng since he was small, he didn't understand him. If he had actually ignored Ling Hucheng's counterattack and kept on thrusting his sword, he would have taken Ling Hucheng's life. Even though Ling Hucheng was using a common ruin method, he would never have continued his attack and pierced his master's lower abdomen. Yue Buchun was judging other people by what he would do himself, so he immediately leapt back, missing a good opportunity to injure his opponent. So even now, Ling Hucheng would not dare to kill his master, right? After several moves, Yue Buchun couldn't stand it anymore, so he increased the speed of his sword. Ling Hucheng concentrated his mind to keep up. In the beginning, Ling Hucheng was thinking that if he were to die under his master's hand, there was no pity in that for him, except that Ying Ying would also be killed. Furthermore, Ying Ying's word had harmed his master, so she would definitely be tortured before she died. Thus, he exerted himself in fighting back with all of his heart so as to protect Ying Ying. After fighting for several dozen moves, Yue Buchun's changes became complicated. Wait. Ling Hucheng concentrated fully on the fight, and he was gradually enlightened. His eyes were now looking only at the point of his opponent's sword. With the Dugu nine swords, the stronger the enemy was, the more powerful it became. That day below the West Lake, inside the prison, he fought with the Ren Wo-sing, whose martial art was of one of the highest quality, which was very rare in this world. But no matter how Ren Wo-sing's sword rose, shifted, and changed, Ling Hucheng's Dugu nine sword adapted reactively against his moves. Whether it was attacking or defending, he countered each move successfully. At present, Ling Hucheng had already learned the art of essence absorbing, and his internal energy had improved greatly since that time below the West Lake. Even though Yue Buchun's evil resisting sword art was weird, he had not learnt it for very long, and he was not as good as Ling Hucheng, who had studied his Dugu nine sword for quite some time now. Compared to Dongfang Bubai, Yue Buchun was much worse. Oh, at least that's good. After fighting for more than 156 moves, Ling Hucheng didn't think deeply anymore when wielding his sword, as there was barely any time to think with Yue Buchun's quick swordplay attacking him. Wait, I'm confused. When these people fight, do they count the number of moves that they fought? Like, how does he know that they fought 156 moves? Do they keep a running count in their head? I mean, that's a lot. I mean, they are pretty good fighters. Maybe you have to do that. Even though the Lin family's evil resisting sword art was made up of 72 moves, each move had several dozen changes, and as it went through all the variations, the changes became very complicated. If other people saw this swordplay, even if they didn't become dizzy from looking at it, they would still be bewildered from seeing this complicated swordplay, and they wouldn't be able to execute their own sword moves. But the Dugu 9 swords that Ling Hucheng learned had no set moves to speak of, so it was natural for him to follow the movements of his opponent. If the enemy only had one move, then he would only have one move. If the enemy had 1,000 moves, then he would also have 1,000 moves. Thus, in Yue Buchun's eyes, Ling Hucheng's swordplay was very complicated and was far better than his own. He was afraid that even if they fought for 3 days and 3 nights, Ling Hucheng would still come up with more new moves. Yue Buchun thought till here, and he couldn't help feeling afraid. He also thought, this witch from the Ren family has already found out the secret of me learning this sword art. If I can't kill these 2 people today, this matter will be spread throughout Jianghu. Then how can I still have face to be the headmaster of the 5 Mountain School? All of my planning would have been ruined. But that traitor Lin Pingzhi already told this Ren witch, so that would prevent him from saying this to other people. This and this. Oh, wait. Let me read that again. But that traitor Lin Pingzhi already told this Ren witch, so what would prevent him from saying this to other people? This and this. With anxiety in his heart, his swordplay became even fiercer, but his mind was agitated, and his swordplay was actually hindered. The evil resisting sword art depended on the speed to take victory. If you fought for more than 100 moves, yet was still unable to win, then the fierceness of the sword art would unavoidably be lessened. Also, with his heart separated, the power of his sword art was greatly reduced. Ling Hucheng's mind was moved as he suddenly saw a flaw in his opponent's sword art. The most important aspect of the Dugu 9 swords was to see the weakness in the opponent's art. No matter whether it was bare hand, kicks, or sabers or swords, every move must have a weakness. Once a flaw had been seen, you could take advantage of it by attacking. Oh, you think it's only the author counting the moves? Maybe. You kind of like Like it doesn't. What was I gonna say? Like this story doesn't have a set um uh what do you call it? It doesn't have a set perspective. Like it's not in third person. It's not in third person or first person, right? It's in third person, but then it's like it's third person. It's not in third person limited, but it's in third person. What is the opposite of that? There's a third person limited perspective, and then there's third person omniscient perspective, right? So sometimes it switches from omniscient to limited. So sometimes it's the narrator that knows what like what everything is going on. And then the narrator, sometimes the narrator knows everything that's going on, but then sometimes the narrator doesn't know. But it's the text suddenly goes into the head of the characters, right? So it's kind of weird. Sometimes it switches between omniscient and limited. Am I making any sense? It's not in first person. First person would be like I and me, right? So it switches between third person limited and third person omniscient. Third person limited is when it's in third person, but you only know what the character knows, right? You only see and think and hear what the character sees and thinks and hear, right? But in omniscient mode, the narrator knows everything that's going on inside the heads of everyone in the story, right? So the narrator knows everything that everyone is thinking in the scene. But in limited mode, you only know what this one character is thinking, right? You're in the head of one person. But during the course of the story, he switches between the two, it seems. You're waiting for it to become future perfect. They start talking in future tense. That would be funny. All right, where was I? Oh yeah. That day at the dark wood cliff, he fought with Dongfang Bubai, who, only holding a piece of embroidery needle, moved as fast as lightning and was unbelievably quick. So even though there were still weaknesses in the movements of his body and attacks, they were only fleeting. Ling Hucheng only managed to see the flaws, but they were gone in the next instant, which made him unable to attack those flaws. That was the reason why the four masters, Ling Hucheng, Ren Wuxia, Xiang Wenjian, and Ying Ying, were unable to win against a little embroidery needle. Later on, Ling Hucheng saw Yue Buchun and Zuo Langchan fighting at the place of worship, and Lin Pingzhi fighting with Mu Gaofeng, Yu Canghai, and the Qincheng disciples. Recently, he had been thinking hard about the flaws in the movements of that sword art, but he had always run into the single difficulty, the speed of the opponent's swordplay. When a flaw could only be seen fleetingly, it was very hard to attack. Sometimes books frequently change between them. No. Maybe in the olden days? I don't know. But like if you read a book, it's always in one perspective, right? It's always, if it's in third person, it's always in either in third person limited or third person omniscient. Like it doesn't change. It doesn't change between the two. Usually, and generally, right? Generally, books don't change between the two. Because like it's kind of cheating, right? If you change between the two, like you're kind of cheating, right? It feels like you're cheating because like sometimes if the book is in third person limited and you only know what the character knows, then you go into reading that book, with that perspective in mind, right? So you know the rules. The rules are you don't know what the character doesn't know, right? But then if the author suddenly changes between the two, if he suddenly changes to omniscient, then the rules have changed. And you're like, well, what the hell? You made these sets of rules and then you changed them in the middle of the book. At this time, he had endured fighting against Yue Buchun for close to 200 moves when he saw Yue Buchun exposing a weakness underneath his right armpit in a slash of his sword. Yue Buchun had used this move earlier. Originally, the changes in his swordplay were very complicated, and he didn't repeat any of his moves in the past 200 moves, but now he has finally repeated one move. Wow. He memorized all 200 moves, and now he knows exactly when this guy repeats one move. After several more moves, Yue Buchun's longsword slashed out horizontally, exposing a weakness on his left waist. He had again repeated another move. Suddenly, a thought flashed in Ling Huchong's mind. His evil resisting sword art is extremely quick, and his flaws aren't actual flaws. Even though there's no weakness in his sword moves, I finally found out a weakness in his sword play. His swordplay repeats. Okay. In this world, in whichever sword art, no matter how complicated and how many changes your swordplay had, you would eventually finish using all the moves. Once the sword moves were used up, and you still weren't able to gain victory, then it would be unavoidable that you would have to reuse the sword moves you had used earlier in the fight. But for masters, their refined sword arts would always have 8 or 10 groups, and within each group there would be dozens of moves, and each move would have its variations. So it was very unusual for them to fight for more than 1,000 moves before the outcome of the fight was decided. Even though Yue Buchun knows a lot of other swordplay he could use, he knew Ling Huchong's sword art was actually too strong, and that Ling Huchong was also familiar with the Huashan school's sword art. So, besides the evil resisting sword art, there was no other art he could use that could gain victory. By now, Yue Buchun had repeated many moves. Knowing he now had the opportunities to take victory, Ling Huchong felt happy. Uh-oh. Looks like the tide is turning. When Yue Buchun saw the corner of Ling Huchong's mouth smiling, he was secretly startled. Yue Buchun thought, "What's this little thief smiling about? Has he figured out a way to defeat me?" He immediately moved his internal energy and was suddenly advancing and retreating to go around Ling Huchong in a circle. His sword moves were like a violent storm, and they were getting faster and faster. Ying Ying was still lying down on the ground, and from her position she couldn't see Yue Buchun's body clearly anymore. She felt dizzy looking at him, her chest felt nauseated, and she felt like throwing up. After fighting for 30 more moves, Yue Buchun's left hand stabbed forward, while he withdrew his right hand. Ling Huchong knew this was the third time he had used this move. After fighting for so long, Ling Huchong felt tired, as his injury was just beginning to heal. He knew the situation was highly dangerous, and under Yue Buchun's lightning-fast attack, if he was just slightly careless, he would lose his life and Ying Ying would be tortured. So, seeing Yue Buchun using this move again, he immediately sent his sword out and stabbed it at his opponent's right armpit. The spot that this slanting sword was stabbing at was the weakness of Yue Buchun's next move. This was really anticipating what the enemy was going to do, and made Yue Buchun really anxious. Even though this move by Yue Buchun was extremely quick, Ling Huchong's attack was done earlier. The move from the evil resisting sword art had not changed yet, but Ling Huchong had already thrust at Yue Buchun's armpit, not making him unable to block or dodge. Yue Buchun cried out sharply, sounding surprised, angry, and desperate. Ling Huchong's sword had already arrived at his opponent's armpit, but when he heard Yue Buchun's sharp cry, he immediately thought I'm going too far. He's my master. How can I injure him? Oh, come on, dude. Just kill him. He quickly pulled his sword back and said, the winner and loser has been decided. Let's save Master Wife, then we'll go our own ways. Dude. Come on. Why? Why would you do that? Ye Buchun's face was pale as he slowly nodded his head. All right. I admit defeat. Oh no, don't trust him. Ling Huchang tossed his longsword on the ground and turned his head around to look at Ying Ying. Suddenly, Ye Buchun shouted, and his longsword thrust out as fast as the lightning and stabbed Ling Huchang's left waist. Greatly astonished, Ling Huchang quickly extended his hand to pick up his sword, but how could he be fast enough? With a "puh" sound, the point of the sword had entered the back of his waist. Luckily, Ling Huchang's internal energy was abundant. When the sword reached his body, his muscle automatically retracted, making the sword slide to one side, so that the sword point pierced his body slantingly and did not injure any fatal points. Yue Buchun was exalted. He pulled out his sword and quickly followed it with a chop. Ling Huchang hastily rolled for a few feet. Yue Buchun rushed forward with his sword slashing ferociously. Ling Huchang rolled again. Tongue sounded as Yue Buchun's sword chopped the ground and missed Ling Huchang's head by only a few inches. Yue Buchun lifted his sword, and with a fierce-looking laugh, he lifted his sword high above his head. He rushed forward for a step and chopped the sword down on Ling Huchang's head again. Suddenly, there was nothing underneath his foot, and his body slumped to the ground. He was greatly surprised and nervously sucked in a breath of air and was waiting for his right foot to hit the ground to leap up. But all of a sudden, the sky revolved and the ground turned, and he lost consciousness. With a booming sound, he fell into the trap. Yay! Nice. All right. Give me a 5-minute break. All right. And we'll be right back. All right. 5 minutes. And we're back. What song is that? Yeah. Look, Didi posted the right song, actually. I think. Is it? It's a remix version of another song, actually. Wait, here, let me post it in the chat. There you go. That's the original song. Yeah, there's a bunch of remixed and covers of it on YouTube if you search. All right. So, yeah. So Ling Huchang was about to win, but then he became an idiot. He became his idiot self and stopped fighting and said, "Okay, I won. You can stop now." And the master used this opportunity to attack him. But then the master falls into the trap and he loses consciousness. Ling Huchang had just escaped from death. Using his left hand, he pressed on the wound on his waist and struggled to sit up. Then he heard several people calling out at the same time from the underbrush. "Young lady! Sacred lady!" Several people rushed out. They were Bao Dachu, Elder Mo, and the other 4 Devil Sect people. Bao Dachu was the first to arrive on the side of the trap. He held his breath, reversed his saber, and hit Yue Buchun's head repeatedly. He knew Yue Buchun's internal energy was good, so the confusion poison wouldn't affect him for long. These hits would put him out for half a day. He just goes up and starts slamming his sword against this guy's head. Ling Huchang hastily scrambled beside Ying Ying and asked, Which acupoints did he seal? Are you all right? Ying Ying was frightened. Her voice quivered, and she found it hard to control herself. Her teeth were chattering. I won't die. Don't be afraid. Behead that bastard, Ying Ying shouted. Yes, Bao Dachu acknowledged. Don't kill him, Ling Hucheng hastily interrupted. Ying Ying saw he was worried, so she said, all right, then quickly capture him. She didn't know there was confusion poison in the trap already, and she was afraid Yue Buchun would jump up again, since no one up on the ground was Yue Buchun's match. You can't believe that trap worked? Yeah. I can't believe the freaking trap worked. Like the most basic trap in the world. As ordered, Bao Dachu acknowledged. He didn't dare to say that they had dug the trap themselves and that they had been hiding on the side all this time. But when the young lady was captured by Yue Buchun, everyone was afraid of dying, so they didn't dare to go out and help. Okay, so they were all hiding while everyone was fighting. If someone looked into this matter, this would become a big thing, so they had to pretend that they had arrived there by luck and sheer coincidence. Bao Dachu clutched the back of Yue Buchun's neck and lifted him up. Then his hand shot out like the wind, and he sealed 12 of Yue Buchun's acupoints. He then took out some rope and tied both of Yue Buchun's hands and legs tightly. Confusion poison, hits on the head, sealed acupoints, and tied ropes. These were 4 things that restricted Yue Buchun. Even if Yue Buchun's skill was much higher, it would still be very hard for him to escape. Ling Hucheng and Ying Ying were looking at each other like they were in a dream. After a long time, Ying Ying cried, and Ling Hucheng hugged her. Having escaped from death just then, they both felt life couldn't be sweeter. After Yue Buchun helped release Ying Ying's sealed acupoints, he saw his master wife was still lying on the ground. Ay yo, Ling Hucheng called out. He quickly went over to help her up and release her acupoints. Master wife, sorry for the offense. Madame Yue had seen everything. She knew Ling Hucheng's personality, and knew he had a very deep love toward Yue Lingshan. Ling Hucheng had treated Yue Lingshan like she was a goddess from heaven, so he would never have dared to offend her at all. He didn't even dare to scold Yue Lingshan, and he was even willing to risk his life for her. To think that he would torture or kill her, that was just a very ridiculous thing to think of. Moreover, she had seen with her own eyes how well he treated Ying Ying, so how could his personality be different? Ling Hucheng used his sword to stop her husband, but he stilled his hand from killing him. On the other hand, her husband, the respectable headmaster of the 5 Mountains School, had suddenly become violent and unexpectedly used a despicable method that even people from the unorthodox path despised and other people would mock at. Madame Yue felt completely discouraged. She lightly asked, Chang'er, was Shan'er really killed by Lin Pingzhi? Ling Hucheng's heart was pained, and tears rolled down his cheeks. He chokingly said, Disciple, I feel bad for Madame Yue. Madame Yue interrupted. He doesn't regard you as his disciple anymore, but I still regard you as my disciple. If you like, I'm still your master wife. Ling Hucheng's heart swelled with gratitude as he paid his respect to her while calling out, Master wife! Master wife! Madame Yue gently caressed his hair, and tears were streaming down her eyes. She slowly said, What young lady Ren said true? Did Lin Pingzhi kill Shan'er because he's learned the evil-resisting sword art and has gone to rely on Zuo Langchan? That's right. Turn around, Madame Yue chokingly said. Let me have a look at your injuries. Yes, Ling Hucheng replied and turned around. Madame Yue tore the gown at his back and sealed 4 acupoints around his injuries. Do you still have Hangshan School's medicine? I do, Ling Hucheng answered. Ying Ying took the medicine out from his bosom and gave it to Madame Yue. Madame Yue wiped the blood on his wound and applied the medicine. She then took out a white handkerchief from her bosom and pressed it on his wound. She then tore a piece of cloth from her skirt and wrapped the injury up. Ling Hucheng had always regarded Madame Yue as his own mother, so seeing her treating him like this, he was greatly comforted and forgot all the pain from his injury. What's up, Nade? Nade, thanks for the contribution. I really appreciate it. In the future, Madame Yue said, you will of course kill Lin Pingzhi to avenge Shan Er. With tears in his eyes, Ling Hucheng said, little Marshall's sister, just before she died, she asked me to look after Lin Pingzhi. I couldn't bear hurting her, so I promised her. This is a really difficult matter. Madame Yue let out a really long sigh and said, ah, retribution, retribution. She then said, Chang'er, you cannot be too good to other people when dealing with them in the future. Yes. Suddenly he felt something warm flowing down the back of his neck. He turned his head around and saw Madame Yue's face was pale. Startled, he called out, Master Wife! Master Wife! He then, when he stood up to support her, he saw a dagger sticking out from her chest. The dagger had pierced her heart. She had already passed away. Ling Hucheng was dumbfounded, and he wanted to call out, but no sound was coming out of his mouth. Ying Ying was also alarmed, but because she had no relationship with Madame Yue, she was just startled and feeling pitiful but not mournful. She went beside Ling Hucheng to hold him, and after some time, Ling Hucheng started crying. Bao Dachu saw the two young lovers had met with a mournful loss, and that they would have a lot of things to say to each other, so he didn't dare to disturb them. He was also afraid that Ying Ying would ask the origin of the trap, so the six of them needed to consult each other first on what to say to deceive her. So they carried Yue Buchun up and retreated far away. Well, now the master wife has died, unfortunately. Bell toll for Madame Yue. Where are they taking my master? Yue Buchun. Ling Hucheng asked. You're still calling him master? Ying Ying asked. I'm very accustomed to it. Why did master wife have to commit suicide? Why did she have to kill herself? Ying Ying answered with hatred in her voice. Of course, it's all because of that traitor Yue Buchun. Married to such a despicable and shameless husband, if she can't kill him, then it's better to commit suicide. Let's kill Yue Buchun quickly and avenge your master wife. Ling Hucheng hesitantly said, You're saying we should kill him? He was once my master, and he brought me up. Even though he's your master, and he's also brought you up, he's tried to kill you a few times already. The love and hate between you two have been wiped out a long time ago, but you haven't repaid the kindness shown by your master wife. Didn't your master wife die under his hand? Ling Hucheng sighed and mournfully said, My master wife's kindness will be difficult to repay in my lifetime. Even though there's nothing between Yue Buchun and I anymore, I still can't kill him. It doesn't have to be you. Ying Ying then raised her voice and called out, Elder Bao! Yes, young lady, Elder Bao loudly answered, and walked over along with Elder Mo and the other people. Did my father send you to handle things here? Bao Dachu bowed and replied, Yes, Chief commanded subordinate, along with Elder Ge, Du, and Mo, to lead 10 brothers to think of a way to capture Yue Buchun and bring him back to the altar. Where's Elder Ge and Du? More than 4 hours ago, they went to lead Yue Buchun here. We haven't seen them since. I'm afraid. Search Yue Buchun's body. Yes, Bao Dachu acknowledged and searched Yue Buchun's body. From Yue Buchun's bosom, he took out an embroidered flag, which was the Five Mountains Sword School Alliance's flag. Around 10 gold and silver taels. Okay. Let me restart that. From Yue Buchun's bosom, he took out an embroidered flag, which was the Five Mountains Sword Schools Alliance's flag, around 10 gold and silver tails, and 2 copper plates. Bao Dachu was indignant as he reported, "Reporting to young lady, Elder Gu and Du have definitely met with this bastard's violent hand. These are the 2 elders' sect plate." As he said this, he lifted his leg and gave a hard kick to Yue Buchun's waist. Everyone's dying. Why? Probably because it's the end of the story. We're coming towards the end. This is when typically most people start dying. "Don't harm him," Ling Hucheng shouted. "Yes," Bao Dachu respectfully answered. "Bring up some cold water and wake him up," Ying Ying ordered. Elder Mo took out the water canteen on his waist, opened the lid, and poured the cold water onto Yue Buchun's head. After some time, Yue Buchun groaned and opened his eyes. He felt terrible pain on his head and waist and groaned again. Ying Ying inquired, "Person surnamed Yue, did you kill Elder Gu and Du for my sect?" Bao Dachu picked up the 2 copper plates and tossed them up repeatedly, making a chung chung noise. Maybe Yue Buchun didn't feel he would be lucky enough to escape with his life, so he scolded, "I killed them. All the demonic disciples from the devil sect must be executed." Bao Dachu wanted to kick him again, but he considered the depth of Ling Hucheng's friendship with the chief, and also of the fact that Ling Hucheng was going to be young lady's future husband. Therefore, since Ling Hucheng had already said don't harm him, he didn't dare to disobey his order. Ying Ying coldly laughed. "You're the headmaster of an unorthodox sect, but when you handle things, you're 100 times more wicked than the divine sun-moon sect's people. But you still have the face to scold us as the demonic disciples. Even your wife hated you so bitterly that she'd rather commit suicide than to continue being your wife. Do you still have the face to live in this world?" Yue Buchun scolded, "Little witch, you're speaking nonsense. My wife was clearly killed by you, but you're trying to slander me by saying she killed herself." "Brother Chong, listen to him," Ying Ying said. "He's so shameless." Ling Hucheng spoke indistinctly. "Ying Ying, I'd like to ask you a favor." "You want me to release him? I'm afraid it's easy to capture a tiger, but it'll be hard to release it. This person's heart is very calculating and filled with hatred. His martial art is also very strong. Later on, when he finds you again, we might not be as lucky as today." "We'll let him go today. Our relationship as master and disciple finishes today. I already know all of his sword art in my mind. If he dares to find me again, then things won't go well for him." Ying Ying knew that it wasn't easy at all for him to kill Yue Buchun, but if from now on Ling Hucheng didn't care about their old relationship anymore, then he wouldn't be afraid of facing Yue Buchun again. "All right, we'll spare his life today. Elder Bao, Elder Mo, spread the word in Jianghu of how we have spared Yue Buchun's life. Also say how Yue Buchun has cut off his own limb to learn the demonical sword art, and that he's now not male nor female." Oh, they use the word limb, but they mean something else. Let all the heroes in the realm hear about this." Oh no, he's not gonna like that. Bao Dachu and Elder Mo acknowledged the order together. Yue Buchun's face turned ashen, and both of his eyes turned malicious. But thinking he still had his life, there was still a trace of happiness in his eyes. Ying Ying said, "You hate me. Do you think I'm afraid?" She slashed her longsword and cut the ropes binding him. She walked near him and unsealed the acupoints on his back. Her right palm pressed against his mouth, while her left palm hit the back of his head. Yue Buchun's mouth opened, and he felt a small pill in it. At the same time, Ying Ying's right hand pinched his nose, blocking his air. When Ying Ying cut his ropes and unsealed the acupoints at the back of his body, her back was facing toward Ling Hucheng and was blocking his vision. so Ling Huchong couldn't see her putting the pill into Yue Buchun's mouth. Ling Huchong only saw her releasing his master, and he felt comforted. With his nose blocked, Yue Buchun had to use his mouth to draw breath. At the same time, Ying Ying used force on her right hand to force Yue Buchun to take the pill along with his breath. After Yue Buchun had swallowed the pill, he was scared out of his wits, thinking the pill he had just swallowed was the devil sex's most evil pill, called the Divine Three-Corpse Brain Pill. He had heard people say that after taking this pill, every year during the Dragon Boat Festival, you must take a medicine to prevent the corpse bug inside the pill from coming out. Otherwise, the corpse bug would come out, enter your brain, and chew your brain out. There was no need to say how painful it would be. Furthermore, you would be crazed, and you would become worse than a crazy dog. Even though he was intelligent, full of ideas, and calm under pressure, he was still sweating profusely, and his face had turned pale thinking of this situation. Ying Ying stood straight as she said, "Brother Chang, they sealed his acupoints too heavily. These last 2 acupoints will loosen a bit only after some time, so he just has to endure it for now." "Many thanks," Ling Huchong replied. Ying Ying smiled captivatingly and thought, "I secretly did something and deceived you, but this is all for your own good." After some time, see, she knows what's up, right? Ling Huchong doesn't know what's up. He's too loyal to his master. After some time, she knew that the pill in Yue Buchun's stomach would have transformed and there would be no way for him to vomit it out anymore. She bent down to release the 2 acupoints, and as she did so, she whispered, "Every year during the Dragon Boat Festival, come up the dark wood cliff, and I'll give you the medicine." When Yue Buchun heard this, he knew the pill he took just then was really the Three-Corpse Brain Pill. He couldn't help shaking as he tremblingly asked, That was the 3-corpse?" Ying Ying giggled and in a loud voice said, "Correct, respected sir. This kind of powerful drug is not easily made. In our sect, only people of high positions with outstanding martial arts are entitled to take it. Elder Bao, isn't this right?" Bao Dachu bowed and said, "Thanks to Chief's kindness that he gave this divine pellet to subordinate. Subordinate will always be loyal and will always follow his order. After I've taken this pill, Chief's confidence in me has increased, and it has actually given me untold benefits. Long live the Chief! Unify the Jianghu!" Ling Huchong was startled. You gave you gave him the 3-corpse brain pill?" Ying Ying laughingly answered, "He swallowed it in a hurry. He was probably so hungry that he was just about to eat anything. Yue Buchun, you must protect Brother Chang and my life from now on to benefit yourself." Yue Buchun's heart was filled with hatred, but he thought, if this witch met some kind of accident and was killed by someone, then I'll die miserably. Even if she's still alive but has received some kind of heavy injury and couldn't make it back to Darkwood Cliff before the Dragon Boat Festival, then where would I look for her? Also, maybe she doesn't intend to give me the medicine in the first place. He thought till here, and he couldn't help shivering. Even though he had divine martial art, he didn't know what to do. Ling Huchong sighed, thinking that Ying Ying was originally from the devil sect, so her action had a demonical air to it, but she had done this because of him, so he couldn't blame her. Alright, so that's good. Now Yue Buchun drank that pill, so he's a bit less of a threat now, supposedly. Ying Ying said to Bao Dachu, "Elder Bao, go back and report to Chief. Say that the 5 Mountains Sword School's headmaster, Mr. Yue, has sincerely surrendered to our sect, and that he has also taken our sect's divine pill, so it's not possible for him to rebel." Bao Dachu was initially worried, When he saw Ling Huchang wanting to release Yue Buchun, he was really afraid that he would be blamed by the chief when he returned to the gathering altar. So when he saw Yue Buchun take the divine three-corpse brain pill, he was greatly exulted. With joy, he hastily replied, "Young lady presided over the whole battle, and everything was completed successfully. Chief will surely be happy. Chief flourishes the divine sect and benefits the common people." Ying Ying said, "Mr. Yue has already turned over to our sect, so we can't mention the things that would damage his reputation to outsiders. And you also mustn't mention him taking the divine pill. This person's position in Wulin is very high, and his wisdom and knowledge are high. His martial art is good. Chief will definitely have use of his position." "Yes, I will follow young lady's order," Bao Dachu answered. When Ling Huchang saw how distressed Yue Buchun was, he couldn't help feeling sad, really. Even though Yue Buchun wanted to kill him and had been very violent towards him, he could not forget the past 20 years when he and Master Wife had brought him up. Ling Huchang had always regarded him as his own father. Suddenly, everything had changed into hatred, and he was feeling very bad. He wanted to say a few things to comfort him, but it was as if there were something stuck in his throat that he couldn't make a sound. Ying Ying said, "Elder Bao, Elder Mo, go back to Darkwood Cliff. Ask Daddy on my behalf if he is well. Ask Uncle Xiang if he is well. I'll wait for him. I'll wait for Master Ling Hu to get better. Then we'll come to the gathering altar to see Daddy." If it were another girl, Bao Dachu would have said, "I wish for Master to recover soon and return to Darkwood Cliff with the young lady. Then we'll all drink a congratulatory wine to you as soon as possible." Toward a pair of young lovers, this speech would have been extremely good, but toward Ying Ying, how would he dare to say such a thing? He didn't even dare to take a look at the two of them as he lowered his head and bowed continuously. Bao Dachu's face was tense, and he just answered yes to everything and was looking very respectful. He was actually really afraid that Ying Ying might find out he was actually laughing inside. This lady was afraid people would mock her and Ling Huchang for loving each other, so she had caused many troubles for the warriors in Jianghu. This was very well known throughout Wulin. Bao Dachu didn't dare to linger too much longer, so he immediately took his leave from Ying Ying and Ling Huchang and took the other people with him as he went. When they were leaving, he was even more respectful toward Ling Huchang than Ying Ying. He was an old person in Jianghu who had gone through a lot of experience, so he knew being respectful toward Ling Huchang would make Ying Ying very happy. Ying Ying saw Yue Buchun was standing woodenly. "Mr. Yue, you can go too. Are you going to take your wife's remains to bury in Huashan?" Yue Buchun shook his head. "I'd like to bother the two of you to bury her in this small mountainside." After he said this, he didn't give another glance toward the two of them before he quickly left. In just a short time, he had disappeared behind the trees. Such quick movement was rarely seen in Jianghu. By the fall of the evening, Ling Huchang and Ying Ying had buried Madame Yue's remains besides Yue Lingshan's tomb. Ling Huchang cried out again. But the master wouldn't even bury his own wife. That dude is bad news. They should just kill him. The next morning, Ying Ying asked, "Brother Chang, how's your injury?" "This injury isn't serious. There's no need to worry." "That's very good. Our place here has been discovered by other people. I'd like to wait for you to rest for a few days here. Then we'll go to another place." "That's also good. Little Marshall's sister has her mother to accompany her. She won't be afraid anymore." His heart was pained, but he also said, "My master has always been upright all his life, but his temperament has changed greatly because of that demonical sword art." Ying Ying shook her head and said, "That's not necessarily true. When he sent your little Marshall's sister and Lao Dunois to Fuzhou to open up the wine shop, he was already trying to get the evil resisting sword manual. that's not necessarily what a gentleman does. Ling Hucheng was silent. He had already thought of this matter before, but he had never dared to think about it deeply. Ying Ying went on, actually, it shouldn't be called the evil resisting sword art. It should be called the demonical sword art. If this sword manual were to be circulated in Jianghu, there will be endless harm. Yue Buchun still lives in this world. Lin Pingzhi also has the sword manual memorized, but I don't think he would give anything. But I don't think he would give everything to Zhuo Langchan and Lao Denoi. Lin Pingzhi is such a calculating person. Why would he still be willing to give this sword manual to other people? Ling Hucheng said, both Zhuo Langchan and Lin Pingzhi are blind, but Lao Denoi isn't, so Lin Pingzhi would probably be taken advantage of. These three very smart people are living with each other, and yet are suspicious toward each other. I wonder what would happen. 2 against 1, Lin Pingzhi would be afraid that he'll be disadvantaged. Are you really going to think of a way to protect Lin Pingzhi? Ling Hucheng looked at Yue Lingshan's tomb and said, I shouldn't have promised little Marshall's sister that I'd protect Lin Pingzhi. This person is worse than a dog. I hate him with all my heart. How can I go and help him? But I've already promised little Marshall's sister. If I eat my words, then it'll be hard for her to be peaceful under the 9 fountains. When she was still alive, she might not have known who really treated her well, but after she died, she would definitely understand. She wouldn't want you to protect Lin Pingzhi. Ling Hucheng shook his head and said, that's hard to say. Little Marshall's sister and Lin Pingzhi were very loving in the past. She knew his intention toward her was evil, but she still couldn't bear to see him harmed. Ying Ying thought, this is true. If it were me, I wouldn't care how you treat me. I'll always wish you well with all my heart. Ling Hucheng stayed in the valley for more than 10 days, and his new injury became much better. He said that once they arrived back in Hangshan, he would give the headmaster position to Yi Qing. Then there would be nothing worrying him, and he would be able to travel the world with Ying Ying and find a secluded and nice place to live in. Ying Ying said, this matter of Lin Pingzhi, what are you going to do about the responsibility given by your departed little Marshall sister? Ling Hucheng scratched his head and said, it's the thing giving me the most headache. It's best if you don't mention it anymore. I'll just deal with it when it comes to me. Ying Ying smiled and didn't say any more. The 2 of them gave their respects in front of the 2 tombs and took their leave. Boom! Another chapter done. Did you guys like it? That was pretty sad for Madame Yue. She died. She died. Yeah, she was a total good guy, right? She cared for Ling Hucheng the entire time, and she was the innocent one, and then she just died because this freaking Yue Buchun dude is so evil. Yeah, so Ying Ying got it right? This guy, Yue Buchun, the master, he intended to steal the evil resisting sword art in the first place, right? In the very beginning, he was the guy who wanted the sword. It wasn't just Yu Changhai and Mu Gaofeng. So he had this plan the entire time. Do. 6 more chapters. All right. Cool. Let me take a swig of some wine and then we can finish. Thanks for joining, you guys. A lot of deaths, right? In the last few chapters. There have been a lot of deaths. because of his love for this sword art, or his greed for this sword art, he basically killed his wife and daughter. All right, cheers. Hi guys. 6 more chapters. I don't know. 6 more chapters, then we're done. I have another book lined up, another Wuxia book. Yeah, after this one. So, thanks for joining. I'll see you next week. All right. Love you. Bye.